Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Friends Podcast, man. Thank you so much for joining us. If it's your first time, thank you for coming through. My name is Matt, and I'm here with my two co-hosts.
What's up? It's Jermayne.
And it's Rod. This is the Friends Podcast. Make sure you check us out. We're streaming everywhere: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our socials: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok at the Friends Pod. Also, we got merch coming soon, so be on the lookout for that soon. We'll let you know all the details on all our social platforms. And yeah, shout out to the old and new listeners.
So I'm curious for both of you, what's one non-negotiable in your life?
Now, when you say that, do you mean like just something that we can't live without?
Yeah, something you can't live without, something you have to have today.
I don't know. I can go the easy route and say water. Like I need water. Damn, I don't know. I don't think I mean, money, obviously. But one thing that I definitely need, regardless if I have water or money, probably like it's a type of medium where I can play music.
Mm,
That's probably what it is.
yeah, I feel you.
And then probably like an endless record collection. I don't know. That's a hard question though, because I feel like there's so many things we need, but if it's just like one thing, it's real hard to like narrow that down.
I'm gonna go with individual time. Just time to myself to think, and I use just time to myself just to think about ideas, thoughts, just reflect in general.
For me, I would probably say the sun slash being able to get time outdoors. Like one of the beautiful things that came out of COVID for me was I started to really appreciate being outside, especially in those like early days when we couldn't do anything but be outside.
Hmm.
And now it's like so ingrained in my life. Like I couldn't imagine like being stuck in indoors all day. Like this winter has even been rough. I'm like, I need to become a snowbird and like have a little spot somewhere warm so I can get out, be out in the sun in the summer, in the wintertime.
Wait, so you was camping and stuff like that, or you just was just outside, just walking, nature walks and stuff?
Yeah, more like nature walks, hikes, stuff like that.
I feel that. I feel that. Let's go ahead and get into this first topic. So it seems like recently we've had a development where NBA players are getting a little bit more freedom on like what they can do. I know I read the other day that they can now invest in the teams and things like that in a small way. They can't all the way like, oh, I'm gonna buy this team, but now they can actually invest their money into the franchise. Coupled with that, we have the ability to smoke weed now. So I think that's pretty cool. I've seen like a lot of advocates for like Al Harrington is one of the advocates.
Mm-hmm.
Gary
We
Payton.
have GP. Of course, Matt Barnes is Stack Five, the biggest blood. They are advocates for these things and stuff like that. So I think this is super dope
J.R. Smith.
for sure. Now, does this mean that they won't test for weed anymore?
Yep. No longer testing for weed.
Oh wow, okay, damn, that's super crazy. Now, do y'all think this is gonna change the league in a good way, or do you think like niggas gonna start being garbage?
I just feel like people are just not gonna get in trouble for it, which is the main problem. Um, Players getting suspended, and in some instances, even kicked out the NBA because they were smoking weed. So implementing this law, smoking weed is not gonna stop them from being able to play at the top level and compete. So I think it's a good thing that they took this law out the way so players can play the game that they love, that they grew up playing.
I mean, I think the good thing in theory is I know a lot of players they start smoking because they're trying to deal with like injuries, and it's a way to like heal or help them like heal from injuries and being sore. But I am a little worried that like it might change like the quality of NBA basketball
That's what you think?
potentially. But then again, hey, like what do I know?
No, I'm like, is that what you think? They just do it just to heal? That's why they smoking weed?
I mean, obviously some of them smoke recreationally, but a lot of them
I feel like most of them probably did it growing up.
That's true, but I've heard at least how a lot of them have positioned it before is like, yo, this was to help me like extend my NBA career. I actually went to a year ago. I went to Ben Wallace. He just released his own line of cannabis, and I went to his like release party because a friend of mine works in the cannabis industry, and that was his big thing. Was like, yo, this is like how I was able to like protect my body, maintain my body. Da 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 da.
Yeah,
So
do CBD. Don't smoke. It's 0% THC in CBD. So
Does CBD really work though?
that's what they say.
How you gonna tell them to do it? You ain't did it. I've tried it before, but I that shit don't really do shit for me, to be honest.
yeah, I tried CBD too, but I didn't notice anything.
It worked for me.
I thought you said you didn't do it.
No, you said I didn't do it. I ain't say that.
Oh, okay. Wait, what?
You said how you go? No, you pointed out, but oh, you didn't do that shit. I actually did.
Didn't you? I'm tripping. Didn't you? I thought you said.
I thought you just said you didn't.
No, I did. I've done plenty of CBD products.
Okay.
Lotion, shampoo. I thought the shampoo was pretty common. I thought it worked.
So you do feel like that could be a good alternative? I mean, now it don't really matter now because they can do what they want to do now.
I think the point of it is just to like relax your muscles.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it works for that. If you have like a good brand or a good quality product, it should work.
I was going to ask, do y'all think it's going to be any new weed smokers? Because I feel like at this point,
Oh,
if you're
hell
already
yeah.
smoking, you think so?
Yeah, I mean, I think the majority of the players probably haven't cared up until this point. They've been doing it regardless. But I think you might have a couple people, a few, who are, like the same thing with like when weed became legalized in a lot of different states. You had a lot of people who like never smoked before, but now that it was legal, we're like, okay, I'm willing to try it. I think you're gonna have that with players too.
The fact that more people are going to be more open about it, that hey, I'm smoking. Some people might have just did it like low key before, but now that people are able to do it, they're just like probably right outside the gym on the way in. Like they probably just gonna walk in and be like, all right, let's go. And I don't know, or even maybe ask the players, be like, hey, you want to hit this? Like,
see, I don't know if I like this because I do think. I mean, of course, I'm an advocate for weed, but at the same time, I wouldn't want them to get criminalized. Because weed is not legal federally, so I want that to be the narrative. Like, oh, he just be high all the time, or like, oh, they be doing is smoking weed in the NBA. Like, I don't want that narrative to try to come up.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just thinking worst case scenario, but I do think that weed has had a negative connotation for so long. So just for people to be open about it and like doing it for real, I just don't want it to be no backlash where it's like, people getting ostracized just for, partaking
so
in the
you
plant.
don't want like a Wiz Khalifa of the league,
Not necessarily.
someone who works out all the time and performs and does his job at the top possible form while still smoking. You don't want an NBA player to be very openly smoking weed and be balling like Damian Lillard.
I think I could look at it two ways. I do think it could do a lot for weed advocacy because, like, look at what I'm doing. I'm still playing at the highest level and I be high. But at the same time, I don't want that to be like a point where people can point at you and be like, oh, but he just be high all the time. That's why he played. That's why he got 2 points, or like, you know what I mean? I don't want it to get to that point where it's like they blaming the weed for the bad stuff. But if it makes everything look good, then sure.
Yeah, I get you though. There's two sides of the coin. It could be very good for some players, but for others, they probably want to put it down and get back in the gym.
Everybody not gonna be able to do this shit because, like, Steph Curry smoking, I don't know.
Yeah, and not everybody's gonna do it just because they can. Like, if they didn't do it before, I don't really anticipate most players gonna do it. I feel like if they don't do it, they may do it just in the off season when the season's over. That will make more sense. But I feel like most of these guys, yeah, they are athletes and they're really about their health, their wellness. So I feel like if they do it, they do it in moderation anyways. It's not uh, all the time thing for them anyway. For majority of them, anyways. I'm not gonna say all of them.
Yeah, you would think, but no, I do agree with that. Like niggas not gonna just pick up a weed habit. I mean, maybe some of the young boys that's never done it, like some of the
Yeah,
rookies.
it's only if they already had it before that I think that they'll still have it.
Hmm. Yeah, I kind of feel that, but I think it's dope. I think it's just another way that the NBA is just
It's becoming the players' league.
it really is. It's just becoming more just like I don't know, like it's opening up.
You think all the smoke has something to do with that? Their
Mm,
podcast,
that's interesting.
That's a good question. I don't know.
like seeing NBA players open about it and broadcasting and doing news and having a little bit of success.
I don't want to put it all on them because, like I said, there has been
There's a bit of
advocates for years.
advocacy about it for it. I'm
Yeah,
saying that could be a thing.
It's been a lot though. Like it's been a lot, and but they are probably like the most visible right now because they do have their own show and all that stuff. But they definitely part of it, and shout out to them for that. Because not only are they doing that for the NBA, but they're doing that for the whole country. You know what I mean? Like other places that just dry as hell, no weed. They're making it look sexy. You know what I mean? Making it look like, oh shit, we could do this.
Yeah, and still do my job.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's big though, because it's like weed is a physical thing, and obviously in the NBA and playing basketball, you need your physical. You need that, right? But it'd be jobs where you sitting at a desk all day for 8 hours that you still get tested. So I don't know. I need that to stop happening. Like we talking about anything with weed, I think mandatory weed testing, all that type of all that type of stuff. Like nigga, you work at T-Mobile. Like what the fuck? Why does it matter? So I don't know. But super dope development though. Other than that, shit, let's go ahead and get into this next topic, man.
Yeah, I kind of want Jermayne to talk about this topic when you're bringing up Brittany Reiner and Black China and everything.
Yeah. So Blac Chyna has been in the news a lot lately because she's going through a little bit of not a little bit, she's going through a major rebrand. She actually went through and she had um, a lot of her like plastic surgery reversed. So she had her face fillers removed. She had her implants reduced or like totally taken out. She's like gotten a lot of the stuff taken out of her butt. So she looks much more conservative than she used to. She also like she has a tattoo, I guess like the devil that she had on her back. She got that removed. She got rid of her OnlyFans. Um, she's now going by Angela instead of Blac Chyna. She like is just totally on this like new rebrand. But what I've noticed is interesting. It's like it's not
She
just
looked
her.
good though,
I think she looks so cute. I do.
better than before.
I think so. I think she looks really nice.
So you like her whole rebrand?
I like it because she does seem like legitimately happier now. But what I think is interesting is like
She
she's
wasn't
not.
happy being a hoe.
I can't speak for her, but according to her, no. Like OnlyFans was a dead end and all that. So, um, but it's interesting now because she's not the only one who's going through this rebrand. So, Brittany Rinner has also gone through the same thing too. She's been on like just what's her name? Just Pearly Things YouTube channel a lot. She's been on a lot of like the Manosphere YouTube channels, kind of talking about how she doesn't think like um she now looks back at her like sexual past, a little bit of embarrassment. Who else? Alexis Sky, she's also been going through a rebrand. She has now like a whole new like good girl image. She's been on a lot of podcasts talking about the fact that she like kind of denounces her old behavior. So I'm curious, like,
The city girl's a myth.
yeah, like do y'all I don't know, you think that you really can change at this phase of life?
Yeah, of course you can change, and I respect the change. I mean, it seems like I do respect the change, but it just seems strange because it seems like the things she was doing was very lucrative for her. She got racked up off OnlyFans, and
Mm-hmm.
she been in the public eye for like damn near a decade, if not more. So like
Yeah.
what she was doing was working. So I think I kind of really respect it now because it's like, damn, like you was doing some shit that, so you had a foolproof plan, and now it's like you just trying to switch the whole thing up. So that's, I mean, that's
You
kind of
don't
dope.
know her finances and what she was going through, though. We don't know all that information. She might have been down bad and want to live a more modest life. And this is her rebrand because her finances was looking a little rough.
Well, it is interesting. She said before that she made $240 million in 2021 from OnlyFans. But now in a new interview, she said, like, no, like it was way less, like less than, I don't remember the number, but it was like less than $1 million from OnlyFans.
Less than $1 million.
Yeah, I'm just thinking maybe it's just my conspiracy theory on it, on Blac Chyna. But I think this rebrand was just her way of, like, she's not making that much money. And she just don't want to be looked at as uh, broke or looking bad out here. So she did this whole like, oh, I'm gonna get everything changed and live a more normal life. I feel like just because she's making normal kind of money now. So I feel like that's what this whole rebrand is about.
So what? She gonna be a secretary now? Like, what's she about to do? Like, she can't just go get a regular job, you know?
I mean, I think it's interesting that all these women are like going through this around the same age. Like, so Brittany Renner's 31, Blac Chyna is 34. And then Alexis Sky, she's got to be a couple years younger. I think she might be like 28. Yeah, she's 28. And so I wonder, like, is it just like a certain stage of life where you just realize, like, hey, it's not really worth it anymore to be like a hoe? Like, is it that? Is it? I know also all three of them have kids. Like your kids get older, then you realize, like, hey, I don't really want my kids seeing this. Um, is it also like you now want to have a real relationship and you realize like acting like this is probably not conducive to getting married and stuff like that? I don't know, but it's interesting because, Kevin Samuels for the longest time preached that it really wasn't worth it to be a city girl. And, hot girl summers were coming to an end. And now, funny enough, you are actually starting to see that come to pass.
I feel like I want to hear your point of view on this because I don't want to spearhead um, my male views all over this topic. So, what do you think about all this?
I think what I just said, like, I think it's a couple factors. Um, Age, having kids, wanting to settle down. And I think too, like, the problem is all three of these women made careers off of being like sex symbols or being known for like showing off their bodies, whatever. But the truth is, like, that's a young girl's game. Like, you literally can't do that forever. I mean, you can, but at a certain point, it's not cute anymore. There's always going to be somebody younger who's in that spot, a new young it girl. Um, And yeah, if you're actually looking to settle down, I don't think that that's like really the way to do it. So I think you have a lot of women who like taking it off of just these three. I think you have a lot of women who, like, when they're young and they're in their 20s, feel like that's how you're going to get a man. And then you get to 30, let's say, and you realize like the women who are settled down are the ones who you thought were lame.
I feel like nowadays on social media, and I've been feeling like open relationships and polygamy have been more discussed and more people are okay with it. Um, you think what do you think about that in this discussion?
I've been, I think that open relationships had a minute, but even those are like starting to go away. Like, so Jadena was like a big supporter of the polygamous life, whatever.
Yeah.
And he just came out recently and said that he's been like monogamous with his girl for 2 years and like that he doesn't really like rock with polygamy anymore. So,
What you think happened?
man,
This
nobody,
girl got rocked.
no,
And
I
she
think
came
all
back to
that.
him and she was like just looking at him different.
I I think people try to act like, oh, it's human nature to like to not be monogamous. It's like, no, actually human nature is to be monogamous. Like when you think of little kids, like little kids don't want to share their toys. If it's their toy, they don't want anybody else to touch it. We're still that same way when we grow up. Like if you're my man, no, I don't want anybody else to touch you. And most men feel the same way. So I think it's not a surprise.
They say back in the day and in different countries, having multiple wives is actually a part of culture. It's not really. It's really only a Western way of living is the monogamous way. Like still in the Middle East and African countries, it's normal to have multiple wives that take care of the home and do things that they
True.
should do.
But they also have they're living in a different set of expectations. Like also like men in those countries who have multiple wives like have the money to take care of multiple women and multiple households. Also, a lot of times you're talking about situations where the man is the primary breadwinner and the woman either like doesn't work or
That's the
isn't
thing.
making this.
I'm just gonna cut it right there. I don't think necessarily the men there have to make that much money to have multiple wives. I mean, sure, some maybe have do, but I feel like a lot of them probably don't.
Well, in Islam, you have to. In Islam, you have to be able to like provide financially for the wives. So it doesn't mean you have to make a lot of money, but you have to be able to provide for however many wives you want to have.
What's the number for that you gotta have for a wife? Like what's the? Is it like 40 grand, 50 grand for one wife? But if you want two, then it's like you gotta have what 70?
Uh,
Si-
um,
Like
I
like
I can't say because I don't obviously because you were talking about like the Middle East, so like we're talking about like different currencies and different standards of living. But yeah, if you look into it, like in Islam, in order like yes, you can have multiple wives, but you still need to like provide.
I wonder how much money that would be to be considered like you have enough to provide for all these
Yeah.
wives.
So like when people in America are like, oh, saying what you said, like, oh, well, it's in other countries they have multiple wives, and so why can't I? It's like, sir, you work at Jiffy Lube, like you can barely afford to have one girlfriend. Stop playing.
That's the thing. Like they're not looking for. I would say women in different countries. They're not trying to get like the most expensive stuff. How all the women are here. They're just looking for the home to be taken care of, food and things like that to be provided. That's what I'm saying. They don't have to have necessarily as much money. But here it's like, oh, we're looking at social media and everything. It's like, oh, I need this type of purse. I need this dress. I need to go get my hair done every week. Like I gotta do this, I gotta do that. So I feel like it just looks different.
Yeah, I think it looks different, but you can even look at like offshoots of Mormon communities in like Utah and Arizona. They have like a lot of polygamous families out there. And yeah, like those women, they don't necessarily expect to like have Birkins and stuff like that, but you still need at least enough for these different women to have like their own homes, food and clothes for like multiple kids. It still costs money, which I think is like one of the factors that like people sometimes forget. Like they just look at it as from like I hate when I hear people like, oh well, I should be able to have multiple girlfriends because like I have unlimited love. It's like we don't eat love. Like you need more than love to have a partner, to have a woman, multiple women at that, and multiple women who are gonna want kids and stuff. Yeah, no.
Yeah, since I know we just got done speaking about all the women turning their life around and going from a hoe pretty much to a housewife. What was our consensus on that? Like, do we think that it's okay or is it working? Is that something that they should do or not do?
I think it's so good for them. I'm very curious to see if other women start to follow their suit, especially more like regular women start to follow suit.
Shit, it don't matter to me because I feel like, I mean, they can live their life if they feel like it's lucrative to do something else with their life. then fine, do that. But sex does sell. You know what I mean? So at that point, like do what you feel like is gonna make your life, the best. If you got kids and they feel like they
I didn't even think about the kid aspect and having kids and your kids looking on social media getting older and they see you have your OnlyFans and you got to have those conversations. I'd imagine that'd be a little tough.
right, and then they fellow students talking about, oh yeah, your mama hoe, and yeah, your mom was sucking dick on the internet and all that type of crazy shit. So it's like, if you feel like you want to change that, if you can't take the heat, then get out the kitchen. You know what I mean? Now, and also I'll say this too is that if a woman does do that, I ain't gonna say it deletes her past. You know what I mean? But I think that men shouldn't look at that and be like, oh no, she used to be a hoe and all that type of shit. I think that they can still be a viable partner if they really try to turn their life around.
And whenever I do see that, they be like, when I hear that argument that you just brought up, I think majority of the time, those women, they go to a different friend circle or a different group of people.
They
So,
got to.
yeah, exactly. So it is kind of like a fresh new start for them. It's like going somewhere else and no one really knowing you.
Hmm.
I mean,
Hmm.
for majority of people who are just known for that porn industry or sex, whatever, OnlyFans, I feel like majority of those fans are mostly like locally anyways. So when they go somewhere else, it's not like they're like a worldwide sensation, and they can kind of go a little fresh, where it's not just like their their friend group and everybody who knew about them and knew what they did and looking down on them. To they might as well go ahead and move and yeah, just kind of hit the reset on life. I think it's definitely possible, and I think it's a good thing for them to do that. Like I think people should move if they want to like reset like that. They probably should move out their complete social circle and just expand it a bit more.
Listen, if you just went to rehab and you've been on crack for 20 years, you don't go hang out with your crackhead friends again. You know what I mean? Same principles, stands there. And yeah, Jermaine, you was gonna say something. My bad.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, a couple nights ago, I watched this Pamela Anderson doc on Netflix, um, and it was basically just her kind of going through her life story. And one of the things that she talks about was how, like, after her, like, before her sex tape came out, she was trying to slowly start to establish herself as like a real actress. Um, and then after that sex tape came out, like, those opportunities really weren't available for her anymore. She basically got put in this like cartoonish light that we all kind of, I feel like, know her for, like that you
Yeah.
just know, like the big boobs or whatever. And it's only now at like 55 that she's slowly starting able to like do other stuff. She was just on Broadway last year. And so I think it's dope for these three women is that, like, hopefully they're able to like change their images soon enough and early enough in their lives that they're still able to go on and do stuff, and people won't always look at them for what they did in their 20s. Like, people still look at Blac Chyna as like a stripper, even though she hasn't stripped in probably more than 10 years at this point. So best of luck to her.
So I've been hearing this story about currency and the American dollar. It might be tumbling down in the future because a bunch of different nations are getting together to make their own currency. Um, they're starting the process and they're starting to frame it out. It's going to be Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South America, and maybe a few other countries, but it's going to
South
be
Africa.
South Africa. But it's going to be the BRICS currency, is what they're calling it right now at this point, and it's pretty much going to be valued against rare minerals, gold, how money used to be um, how it used to be done. But now we're having a bit of an issue with the U.S. dollar, where that's kind of like the world's currency, where everyone used to want to buy our dollar to go and make trades and do all the things like that. But
Hmm.
now they're not going to need our U.S. dollar, which would pretty much be devaluing it a little bit. It could be a big harm to our entire economy if these different countries start using different forms of currency instead of buying U.S. dollar first and then going to make their big purchases for their countries. It's going to be a big hit for us. Do we think this is something that could change power from the U.S. to another country's hand as the world power?
Definitely, I think that's a big power play from them because they did the math, they did the science, and they figured out, okay, well, how can we? Well, this is how I perceive it. This might not be exactly what it is, but I perceive that they looked at it and was like, okay, America is powerful in what ways? Okay, oh, you could use their dollar, oh, the exchange, blah 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 blah. They did that, and they were like, okay, so how can we, as a nation or a few nations, figure out, okay, how can we take down America? Like, how can we make them not as powerful? Because I think we know that there's a target on our back. Maybe rightfully so, and maybe not. You know what I mean? But there is a target on America's back, and I think that this could definitely, like, if you fucking with somebody, like what Big Worm say? Playing with my money is like playing with my emotions. You know what I mean? So the money is so important. Um, and so yeah, I think that this is definitely something that could really take us to a place where we don't want to be, like depressions. You know what I mean? The value of the dollar just going, plummeting. You
This is
know,
what starts wars, really.
it really is. It really is. Depending on how much this shit really hit and how much it really is effective, like this really could start like a really long term conflict where it's like, damn, y'all fucking with our money.
Yeah, the world power has never shifted without war.
That's a fact. That's a fact. And if we look at it as like they want to shift the power, then something gonna have to happen.
Yeah, and they're already becoming allies, and we're seeing who are becoming allies, and they're very formidable opponents together
Hmm.
against the U.S. Um, because really, yeah, China's supposed to be one of our biggest allies. Um, India, of course, the European countries, like with the alliance. Like it's surprising to see those big powerhouses like that joining together.
I just wish we all got along. Like it would just be so good if we all could just get along. Like,
I mean, to me, it makes sense. Um, Business wise, like why would I want to like go through a middleman
yeah,
if I can go right to the dealer and get my stuff for cheaper? Um, and that's kind of how I feel like this new currency is going to affect things. But I don't even think it started off with this per se. I think it all started off with like digital currency and Bitcoin and Ethereum and all these different currencies in the market. Um, like I feel like that's what's really been disrupting finance, and they've been seeing how much cheaper it is to go from person to person and not have to deal with all those fees through like digital transactions. So I think this is like their way of, which BRICS is going to be a digital currency as well. Um, that they're just going to be person to person. I think it's all just a form of what Bitcoin and the whole idea of what digital currency is. They're just really recycling the whole idea and just calling it what they want, making their own currency and saying, "Oh, this is going to be the national standard."
hmm
Because we already know, like countries like China has already banned Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in their country.
yeah. Now we see why they banned it, so they could really do their own thing.
Yeah,
Um,
they've been plotting on this for a minute, I think.
Definitely, niggas done open the floodgates for this shit and made it possible. So Yeah, no, it's actually really interesting. I'm really interested to see how this is going to play out. I don't know if it's already in circulation.
No, it's not in circulation yet. They're still working on it. I think what's really interesting about it is the US has been the big bully for so long. I think that the US has become just so arrogant that we really were like playing with these other countries, because what's really significant about this alliance and this new currency is that these are the fastest growing economies in the world.
Mhm.
And outside of just fastest growing economies, like we're talking about the the most populous nations in the world. You know, China and India, Brazil is also growing rapidly. And it's really interesting, like from a business perspective, for example, like in my old job, we would always talk about uh, having really strategic plays in these countries because we knew that they were growing, that their economies were growing, um, and that was like the next. They were the next major world economies. So it's like if a business, a multinational business, can know that and make decisions based on that, why wasn't the U.S. government up on like maintaining positive relationships with some of these countries? Like we've been playing with Russia, we've been playing with China, and so of course they were going to come back to get us. Like, duh.
I'm just glad the Middle East ain't involved because, oh my God, they would have made sure we would have been out of here.
Well, I think at some point I thought I heard that they helped facilitate a peace treaty between Iraq and Iran.
Okay.
So I mean, this is an alliance that's not messing around. Like this is nobody to play with. So it's definitely kind of scary in terms of the value of the US dollar. But even if you talk about like warfare, like the US has always gone along with like we have the biggest, strongest military in the world. But now you're talking about all of these countries, these 7 countries, and their populations that they have at their disposal.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. The US better stop playing like the big bully. That's all I gotta say.
Like, what would happen if y'all got drafted? Y'all go? I guess we have to go, right?
Yeah, you gotta go. And thankfully, I would not be eligible to be drafted, I don't think, as a woman. And I think I'm officially too old to be drafted, but
Oh, we're not by equality no more.
nope.
When it got to war,
Never been.
they going back to take care of the household.
Yep. Happily.
Going back to 1939, like for real.
Yeah, they gonna be like, we've been doing this anyway.
Y'all been telling us all this time to stay in the kitchen. But nah, I think
All the disabled niggas gonna be up.
I guess. I guess so. I don't know.
Well, you know, so like the draft cuts off at age 26. So yeah, it'll be the
Woo! I ain't going. Hell yeah.
I wasn't going nowhere though. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Where was you going then?
You're gonna be a draft dodger?
I was going shit. I'd rather. I shouldn't say that on the podcast. I shouldn't say what I want to say. But
where was you going? I want to know. Where you think?
I'm not going.
You going to Canada?
I'm going to the Lord. I'm going to the Lord. I'd rather go to the Lord than go to war. I ain't gonna lie to you. So
you don't think you don't like? I feel like even if I was drafted, I'm probably gonna be. I would be the one doing the computers and stuff, anyways.
Yeah.
Like, logistics.
True.
Like your IT and stuff, you'd probably be checking servers, making sure that they can connect with each other on the ground, making sure the Nintendos and stuff. So I feel like,
I don't think they'd have y'all out there with the AKs.
especially at our age, like we'll probably be in the back, like, like saying, like, "Damn, dog, they got y'all." Battalion 18 just went down. Make sure we get out there. Battalion 19, like I don't know. Whatever they say in Call of Duty.
See, to me, it's not even that. It's just, and I'm gonna sound anti-American here, but I'm not finna fight. I'm not finna fight for America. I'm sorry. I'm not saying I don't love living here, but like, nah, like the way they did us so dirty, and they still doing us dirty, and like, I'm not finna fight for no. I'd rather this whole motherfucker burn down. than to fight for America. I'm sorry, and shit, we might get canceled. That might be the thing we get canceled for, to be honest, because they're gonna be like, you're so un-American.
The thing is, right? Like, you don't think you have nothing to fight for?
Of course I do, but still, I'm petty like that.
Like, all your family's here.
True.
You rather be speaking Mandarin?
Yes. No, and I ain't gonna say I'd rather be speaking Mandarin. I mean, like I said, of course I love living here. I love America at times, but it'd be a lot of times where I'd be like, man, I'm not fighting for these niggas. There's no way.
I mean, what if you were born in an African country that didn't have nothing, and like you woke up every day without shoes, and you had to carry water on your forehead, like 5 miles just to go fill up a vase and then walk back?
Well, then that's where I was born at. That's just
You
what it
don't
is.
think this is a better?
See, I don't like that argument. Like, what if we was in Africa? Or like, we,
Or I could say
we
something
should
else.
be
What about
happy.
in China? You
Uh-huh.
was in the slums of China, or India.
I'd be in the slums in China. I'd be in the slums in India. Like, that's
Like
what it
there's
is.
slums everywhere, but I'm just saying, like, to come up in America, there is advantages if versus those other countries, because it wouldn't be as easy to just be like, oh, because like every kid here, like you got to get an education and you have the opportunity to try to do something. But other countries, not really like that.
Low key, China's schools are way better than ours, though.
Facts.
Yeah, we're not in education. We're ranked not that
Pretty
high,
low.
actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't surprise me though, because yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
We don't really necessarily not incentivize, but we don't encourage education. We don't encourage the right education, and that's like a deeper, longer conversation that we can have one day. But
Yeah,
things that we taught and just the ways that we're taught.
I think because like the government is in the way of like a lot of good things that could be happening. I feel like bills, and it has to go through all these different processes to actually come to fruition.
We got our attention focused on all the wrong things.
Like we
Even if
spent.
you,
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, even if you look at like the stories that we're going on this week, like the state senators who were expelled in Tennessee, um, we're focused on stuff like that, like people being upset about protests, instead of the fact that like, what happens if they really come to get us? All these countries, if they actually were to unite and create this currency and also be military allies, we out here, y'all.
To be
Like,
real, come on then. I'm about to go get me a weapon. Like I'm about to go get me. They better legalize switches, because the hood will be outside. Like like like
On
they
God.
if they want to come, let them come.
no,
Like I
just take
swear,
me to
all the
China right
games.
now. Like, do I get to pick what country I go to? Take me to China. I'll take Brazil, but if I gotta go to China, that's cool.
Be wearing every game flag like 6ix9ine.
For real though. I mean, I feel it though, and like the way these motherfuckers be talking about, Second Amendment, all that shit. If we not ready by the time motherfuckers come, we know it's some bullshit. We know they've been lying.
Like if y'all like all those white people who've been going hunting from
Hmm.
birth, man, if y'all ain't the first person to talk about like I'm trying to go shoot some shit, like
Hmm.
what have y'all been doing this entire time?
Like y'all so patriotic and shit. Like, come on. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. It's not for me. Like, I'm not finna fight for no. There's no way. There's no way. There's literally no way I would ever do that shit. If that sounds unpatriotic, I'm sorry because I do love being here. Don't kick me out.
You sound
Um,
scared.
it's not no. Like I said, it's not that shit. I go like shit. We can. You know what I'm saying? I learned how to shoot and
You rather kill yourself than go fight.
yes, but that's just because of my disdain for
You
America.
sound scared.
No, that's because I hate America that much.
You rather end it early.
Yes, that's how petty
You
I
rather
am.
you rather someone else not do it. You rather do it yourself.
That's how, and it's not that. It's not me trying to get out of it easy. It's just me hating the way America be moving sometimes. That's just like, you know what, man, I'm not finna fight for y'all niggas.
Be like Trump really up there talking to me, and he sent me here too. Like, fuck out of here, boy.
But nah, I think shit, man. Yeah, so we should be on the lookout, see what's going on with BRICS, within the next couple of years, because I feel like this might be a slow burn. You know, the ways this is going to affect the world.
You know, if anybody else needs some good news for the day, one thing I will say is that if you look up other currencies, there are other currencies that outrank the dollar that are worth more than a dollar. And the US dollar is still fine. So the good news is that even if our dollar is by some chance surpassed by this other currency, it doesn't mean that all is lost. So
Yeah, great way to cap that off. Yeah, I guess we
Yeah,
shouldn't be so negative about that. 'Cause we're gonna fight it out regardless. You know.
man. With all that negative news we've been trying to discuss, we got a little bit more negative news for the audience. Bob Lee, he had passed in San Francisco. He was stabbed to death, unfortunately, and rest in peace to this tech wizard who came through with this ingenious technology that most people use today, like especially around my age group. And it's real sad to see. And all his friends and family has spoken out about how great of a guy this dude is. And man, rest in peace to Bob Lee.
Yeah, for sure.
RIP.
Just a tragic story, man. It's just something that like he ain't had to go that early, you know, and that's oftentimes what we say about a lot of people. But yeah, he did make an impact, a huge impact. You know, drug dealers all around the world, all around the country, been you know what I'm saying going crazy off the Cash App.
The
Shout out
scams
to
Mm-hmm.
too.
the oh my God, scammers been going crazy off Cash App. You know what I mean?
Yep, hairstylists, barbers.
Yep, true, true. Yeah, yeah. In the legal sense, yes. That as well. So shout out to him, man. That's you know that's sad.
Yeah, it's really sad too because we haven't got any additional details on like what happened. I'll be really curious like what the circumstances were. Like, was somebody intentionally coming after him, or was this totally random? My fear is that it might have been totally random. Um, I don't know how much you guys pay attention to like uh, San Francisco, but it's like very dangerous out there. Very, very dangerous.
Mm.
So I would not be totally surprised if this was just completely random, which is unfortunate.
I feel like it is because I mean I feel like most people wouldn't be able to recognize who he is. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I mean? Most people probably didn't know his name until they, you know, not no disrespect to him. You know, I'm not trying to talk about the, you know, about the dead, but a lot of owners of big companies, we don't necessarily know who they are or what they look like, and so I feel like it was just probably like, I see that he had maybe I just peeped that he had something, and you know that's what happened. Like somebody just tried to run down on him, and you know that's what it is.
Yeah. So everybody stay safe out there, man.
Nah, most definitely.
Crazy times we live in.
Yeah, but something that just happened right after his murder. FedNow, they're coming out with this new cash exchange system, just like Cash App. Right after his passing, they announced this.
It's very weird timing.
Very weird. And I've been seeing in the Reddit and social media, and people been talking about it. Maybe there's a connection. What do we think about that?
My first thought was to look and see if they had any prior announcements about it. Like I was trying to see if it dropped out of the blue. I couldn't necessarily find anything that was super like concrete. Like, oh, they've been planning this. You know, I just want to err on the side of like they not that crazy. Like they're not really gonna do like that's if that's real.
You don't think the federal would do that?
That's some of the most. I mean, possibly, but that would be some of the most egregious shit I ever seen in my life.
We've been hearing about like a lot of the tech billionaires really been losing their life.
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
Yeah. For very like unexplained situations too.
They just get lost or on a plane, or it's very weird how they're dying.
Yeah, it seem unexplainable. Like we don't necessarily even. I don't know. I don't want to get tinfoil hat and be like, yeah, that's what it was. But it does seem strange. It is very strange timing.
They didn't even give it a week after his death to
Not even
announce
a
it.
Nope.
week.
Like they took his entire like company and style and said, "This is what we about to do."
Same news cycle and everything. But honestly, like nobody's taking down Cash App's memo. Like, nah.
Not at this point, but I mean, if they just went, maybe if they, I don't know if they could shut the server down. I don't know what other steps they could take. Like, I don't know if, like, if they were to do this, I think they would have had to think through, like, okay, but how do we get people to stop using it too? You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Or like maybe I'm sure the majority of people that use Cash App probably don't even know that he passed away. To be honest, like, cause I just feel like everybody don't pay attention to the news, so it's like I don't know. That just seemed like a crazy plan if that's really true.
Yeah, I mean, the world's pretty sick, and I wouldn't be surprised if that is what happened, though. I think it could be a little bit of conspiracy. Someone put a hit out for all these tech billionaires, and I think it's just a way that the government's trying to catch up. They see all this progress, and they see they're just behind in terms of technology, and hey, they're maybe they are doing this, so that gives them a bit more time to shake things up a bit. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if that was happening.
You know how much of a hater you got to be. You see other niggas eating. It's like, nah, I want that shit. I want all that.
Isn't that the definition of the American government?
For real. Black Black Wall Street was burnt down.
Exactly.
That was just America just hating.
The ultimate hate. Like, goddamn. But now y'all understand why I'm like, man, I'm not fighting for these niggas. Look what they be
Mm-hmm.
doing. You know what I mean? Like this is exactly why.
Shoot, taxes are hate. I make more money and I owe you more.
Somebody, please make it make sense. Please. Yeah. So I just think that shit, man. Can we end on a positive note? What's some positive news? Somebody have a baby or something? I don't know.
Yeah, this
Nothing.
shit been super
Dang,
dark.
silence.
Yeah.
No good news out in the world this
This
week.
whole episode, it had been no good news.
Shout out to Angela. Shout out to Angela for getting her face, whatever the fuck, removed from her face. That's dope. That was positive, I guess.
That was trying to change her life around. We love to see it. We love to see rebrands.
No, most definitely.
Shout out to the
Let's-
Amber Roses too, who still making
Yeah.
parenthood and that lifestyle work as well.
yeah, she 10 toes down.
Yeah, she ain't stopping.
Shit, man. Well, should we get in the highlights and get up out of here?
Yeah.
All right. So let me go ahead and highlight. Man, I just want to highlight. Shout out to Monique, man. Monique. I don't. It'd be funny, like people like Prince and like Cher and all them motherfuckers. We don't know their fucking last name, but I think we all know who Monique is. Shout out to Nikki Parker. She just dropped a new Netflix special, man. I watched it the other day. It was real good. I can't remember the name of it. But yeah, go on Netflix and you'll see the most recent Monique special, the Monique comedy special. Check that out. Yeah, pretty dope. What y'all got for us this week?
So, do you guys listen to Sebastian Michael?
No, I know who that is, but no.
So, I'm a huge Sebastian Michael fan. And he released a new project actually like a couple weeks ago. And I've just been like slow to catch up on my music. So I had a chance to listen to it the past couple days and it's fire. It's called, this would be pronounced Philo Deluxe. It's Phileo and then Deluxe by Sebastian Michael.
Super dope. What you got for us, rap?
Nah, I don't really got too much, but I guess Baruto, for the anime listeners and lovers and things like that. Um, part one just ended, and it looks like they're about to have the time skip. Like if you ever watch Naruto and things of that nature, when they went to Shippuden, so they're gonna be on break for a few months until October. Looks like when they bring it back, and they should become back older. So yeah, for the anime listeners, shout out to y'all, and we gonna be expecting that.
All right. Shit, man. Well, man, if you made it this far, we appreciate you for listening. Thank you, man. This has been The Friends Podcast, and we out. Peace out.
Hey.
Peace.